Hi everyone, this is Nisi. I'm a little stuffy, so excuse my nasal tone, if you will. But I just wanted to kind of make a brief video talking about and informing you all that you can't just assume the position when you're a black woman. You always have to be one step ahead. And that's really unfortunate considering in instances like emergencies, which are not planned. How do you plan for an emergency? All you can do in an emergency situation is pray and hope that there are good people out there who will help you because you are another human being in need of help. Um, Unfortunately, in this country, Black American women can't really always depend on their fellow citizens to do that. The Renisha case is not the first in which, it is the first in which I have heard where literally a black woman was killed for seeking help. But there was another case last year when Hurricane Sandy happened. The lady's name is Glenda Moore. She's a black lady. She had two babies, two sons. They were 4 and 2. And she was in the process of trying to get out of Staten Island, where she lived, in a predominantly white neighborhood. She was trying to get to her sister's house, and it was during the storm, which, was a bad idea. But anyway, her truck hit a tree, and it began to flood with her and the babies in the car. And she grabbed her two boys and attempted to get out the car because it was flooding. And as she got out, the winds, the water, everything was just really heavy, and she lost her grip on them and they floated away and ended up drowning. But during this time, when she lost a hold of them, she ran to several doors of people living in the neighborhood, and I believe that many of the people had already evacuated, so there was no answer. But there was one particular home where there was someone there, a white male, and she went to the door screaming, crying, begging for help, and he basically told her to go away. There clearly seems to be some fear with white men, some white men in this country, believing that a black woman in distress in an emergency situation is there to rob them, to kill them, to harm them, and therefore shooting them in the face or just telling them to go to hell seems to be the general consensus of how to treat a black woman who's in distress. I think it's very clear that we as African American women need to understand this, that for whatever reason, people believe that when we're in trouble, that we're going to rob them, kill them, hurt them, harm them, and they don't want to extend any kind of courtesy to help us. So what this means is, of course, this isn't every situation. These are incidents that happen, but I mean, I don't think any of us can sit here and deny that how we are treated as women in this country versus how many other women with white skin are treated is definitely not on the same level. A lot of times we are not seen as women or even as human beings. And we can thank our community for that, and we can thank ourselves for that, because at the end of the day, how your community treats you and shows the world how they value you as a woman is how the rest of the world is going to treat you. And the devaluing of black women, the treating black women as taking on the roles, or I take that back, black women voluntarily and happily taking on the traditional roles that most men in other communities take, clearly sends a message that, you know what, these women are happy, taking on roles of men and wanting to be like men. So we're going to treat them like that. And I really believe that is where a lot of this lack of help and extending courtesies to us as women stems from. And I'm not making excuses for these losers who refuse to help Black women in distress. But what I'm saying is, as long as our image and perception of us as women in this country is that of constantly taking on the roles of men, and that whole strong Black woman meme, those don't work when we are in actual need of help. Now, I'm not trying to say that Renisha's case or Glenda Moore's case is that these women were trying to take on roles of men and no one would help them. What I'm saying is that we as African American women need to be very conscious about how we are perceived and the consequences of that when we are really in need and in distress. So the point I want to make is, one, stop the strong Black woman meme. Okay, it's okay to be a woman that has strength and you can stand on your own 2 feet. But you know what? You don't need to announce to the world that you can take on anything, you can handle anything. You know what? You can't all the time. There are going to be times when you need help. So Black women have to stop with the constant shouting from the mountaintops that we are strong Black women, because that clearly sits in the back of people's minds that when we are in trouble, like, why should we help them? They got it. Whereas a white woman or an Asian woman in trouble, people are going to break their necks to help them because they are perceived as feminine women who should be treated as such, protected, and given the benefit of the doubt, especially when they are in distress. So this is where we as African American women need to really work on changing that perception, so that when we are in need, that people really see and understand that. Now, I mean, common sense, if you see a woman in trouble, help them, but apparently common sense is not running through many minds in this country. Number 2, you always got to be ahead of the game. And like I said, you can't prepare for emergencies, but you need to do the best you can to understand that there is quite a possibility that someone might see you more as a threat, even when you're in a distressful situation. So what you need to do as a Black woman is make sure that you have everything that you need to at your fingertips to help you in a situation where you may be in distress. That is a cell phone that is fully charged at all times, so that you can call on family, friends, or even public safety when you are in trouble, and you don't have to depend on your fellow citizens to act like human beings and extend a helping hand to you, because that is obviously not guaranteed when you have brown and or Black skin. So as much as you can, try to have what you need at your fingertips to get the help that you need. And, just, I mean, what can you do? I mean, you just expect people to be humans and help each other. But I think the biggest thing that African American women can do to help themselves is to stop voluntarily claiming the role of men by saying that you're strong and you can handle anything and you can take on anything, because you can't. You always need someone to help you at some point in time. And we need to take back our femininity, and we need to start demanding that we be treated as such. And it starts in our communities where we are not valued as women. The minute our communities do start valuing us as women, it will extend out into greater society. That's going to take time, but it's going to take a lot of effort on the parts of African American women to make sure that we are getting that voice and message out that we are women. We deserve to be treated as such. And we're going to do what it takes to change that perception of ourselves. So until next time, I will see you guys later. Enjoy your evening.